I wonder, can anybody hear me? What's this shit down here? Okay, all right. It'd be really fucking nice to be able to see if there's anyone in here. What was I going to do here? What is this shit down here? Oh, yeah. I'm going to do the hangout shit. Man, wish this fucking McAfee shit would just fuck off. I'm definitely going to have to disable McAfee. Fucking. Okay, what's this shit? What the fuck, man? Can I ask you, motherfucker? Bert. You know what? Fuck it. I'll use my other browser for this shit. If anyone is there, I'm getting set up. And getting started here in a moment. The fucking stomach is talking to me. Okay, how do I get the fucking link? Nope, not that one. Maybe it's this one. All right. Okay, it says I'm live. Let's see what the fuck. You hear that shit? No, there's a delay. All right. There's a fucking weird noise in the background. All right. I don't give a fuck if anybody's watching because I will just talk to myself. That's what crazy people supposedly do. And I guess you could say that I'm a little bit crazy. But if any of you out there want to chime in on any of the shit that I say, link is in the chat box. It's a Google Hangout link. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Today I'm going to be talking about Pope Francis and the Catholics. All right. So Pope Francis plans a child sacrifice for June 21st. This article was put out yesterday evening. So, a Ninth Circle satanic cult child sacrifice led by Pope Francis was said planned for June 21st, 2018 summer solstice in Geneva, Switzerland. Children for the satanic rite were thought supplied by an international child exploitation ring funded by the global elite, enforced by the mafia, and organized by an office at the Vatican. And I know, a lot of you are going to say, it's a conspiracy theory, but check it out. This stuff is well documented, okay? It's no theory. It's all well documented. A document from the Vatican secret archives, now held by the International Common Law Court of Justice in Brussels, was said to state that it was mandatory that the Pope and cardinals participated in satanic rites on a regular basis. To expose and stop the satanic murder ceremony, which also involved the rape of children, Kevin Annett and the International Tribunal into Crimes of Church and State were leading a protest and counter conference in Geneva at the same time, June 21st. Pope Francis has been, well, this is not the first time Pope Francis has been accused of raping and murdering children. In July of 2014, two adolescent women testified at the ICLCJ court, and that's the International Tribunal into Crimes of Church and State court, okay, claiming that Pope Francis had raped them during child sacrifice ceremonies in the spring of 2009 and 10. According to a former employee of the Cura in Rome, the rapes and murders took place at the Carnarvon Castle in Wales and an undisclosed French chateau. A prosecutor had introduced notarized affidavits by 8 others claiming to witness these same crimes. So, people often talk about the Illuminati. Here's the thing about the Illuminati: Illuminati isn't comprised of just one set of people. It is comprised of multiple roundtable groups, such as the CFR, that's the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, and the Catholics, the Jews, or the Zionists, anyway. So, it's not just one family, one organization. It's made of many different organizations. Eyewitnesses at the tribunal also claimed that Queen Elizabeth, her husband Prince Philip, British royal family members, and Catholic Jesuit Superior General Adolfo Pashon had been present with Pope Francis and former Pope Ratzinger at Ninth Circle child sacrifices. The Pope Francis, also has a history that suggests that he's deeply involved with child trafficking and has connections, led to his coronation as the Catholic Pope. During Argentina's 1970s dirty war, an Argentine civil servant had taken extensive notes of the then Cardinal Francis meeting with the military junta. Francis was said to help traffic 30,000 children of missing political prisoners into the international child exploitation ring run by an office at the Vatican. Sworn statements by a former Vatican Cura employee and other witnesses with inside knowledge of the Vatican child trafficking network claimed that Francis was promised Argentina's top Catholic Church position if he supplied children to the Vatican child trafficking network. The children were held in Catholic institutions as orphans of 150,000 missing political prisoners during the Argentine War. Yeah, buddy. And the Catholics are responsible for uh, genocides as bad as um, the Nazis. They may not have as high as numbers, but the brutality of it. What the fuck? Why is my shit freezing here? Oh well. But the brutality of it, crazy, crazy, crazy. I'm waiting for my computer to react here. There we go. Um, One of the deadliest concentration camps from World War II wasn't even run by the Nazis, it was run by the Catholics. And I'm going to hit these highlighted areas, okay? Some estimate nearly 100,000 people perished at these camps over 4 years. That's 25,000 people a year for 4 years. Regardless of the exact number, between 1941 and 1945, upon thousands of people died in concentration camps in Croatia. The numbers remain contested and range anywhere between 40,000 and 97,000. The United States Holocaust Museum puts the number on the higher end of the spectrum at 97,000. Authorities kept Jossenbeck's purpose a secret from everyone, including Nazis. The Jossenbach camp consisted of 5 sites grouped around the town of Jossenbach. Known as the Auschwitz of the Balkans, the camp sat on marshlands and fell under the control of the Croatian police, called the Ustaci, sometimes spelled Ustache. Though the police used the camp primarily for extermination, they attempted to hide it as much as possible, even from Nazis. When visitors came through, the Ustasi propped up their prisoners and presented Jossenbach as a labor camp, not a brutal killing ground. These camps specifically targeted Serbs, along with Jews, Roma, and political dissidents. The guards took joy in torturing their prisoners and even held killing contests. Though Croatia took inspiration from German Nazis when creating their concentration camps, most of those targeted in Croatia during World War II were Serbs rather than Jews. But much like German camps, basically anyone other than Catholics, fascists, or Croatians was subject to torture and murder in these camps, including Roma and anti-fascist. I had screenshots and everything, but unfortunately, for some reason, my streaming software will not stream for me today, and I have no idea why. I'm gonna have to work on that. But the screenshot is pretty fucking gruesome. Probably not something you really want to see. So the conditions at Jossenbach were brutal, to say the least. Poor sanitation led to rampant disease. Prisoners slept in tunnels, on stone, or even outside, and had no access to clean water. A large part of the horror experience at Jossenbach came from the sadism of the guards. Officials encouraged guards to drown the prisoners in the latrines. There was excessive rape, wanton murder, and excessive torture, all conducted by guards who reveled in their atrocities. Finger and toenails were regularly pulled out. Some Special hooks were used to gouge victims' eyes from their skulls. People were blinded by having needles stuck in their eyes. Human flesh was cut and salted. Noses, ears, and tongues were cut off using wire cutters. And the reason why I followed up with this article is because, it shows you that the Catholics really have a history, and it can go way back to, um, you know, the Crusades. They have a history of brutality and just flat out evil. Some guards even held contests to see who could kill the most prisoners. One guard reportedly slit 1,360 throats. Another guard recounted cutting off an old man's extremities one by one until he eventually cut out the man's heart. With no gas chambers, the Ustasi invented their own murderous tools. You can't see, goddammit. One of the most infamous murder techniques to emerge from the Jossenbach was the Serb cutter, a special tool designed to kill quickly and efficiently, basically a knife attached to what looks like a fingerless glove. The cutter allowed for close range and swift kills. Oh, they tore out hearts too. The Ustasi's creative brutality extended far beyond the murderous Serb cutter, although slitting prisoners' throats was the preferred method. The Ustasi committed murder any way they pleased. They hanged people from cranes, drowned them, burned and boiled them alive, and more. They even tore out a man's heart for refusing to bless a dictator. When the old man refused, the guard cut his ears off. The guard asked again. The old man continued to refuse. He lost his nose and his tongue after each subsequent refusal. The guard refused, or the guard confessed to ultimately cutting the man's eyes, tore out his heart, and slashed his throat. Furthermore, the Ustasi often killed people the moment they stepped off the trains, not even bothering to grab their information for records. Such actions further muddle the total number of victims killed at Jossenbach. Now, I don't know if any of you who may end up stumbling across this have ever heard of genocide or democide, rather. It's death by government. In the 20th century, government is responsible for killing more than 250 million people. 250 more than, okay? The Jossenbach's conditions horrified the fucking Nazis. A Nazi general recounted what he saw at Jossenbach, and even he had an enforcer and perpetrator of the Holocaust was shocked by the camps, referring to Jossenbach as the greatest of all evils. And if the Nazis think the shit was evil, well, the general compared it to Dante's Inferno, describing the screaming of children, a female corpse with no eyes with a stick shoved up her genitals, and pigs feasting on corpses. This same Nazi official also called those who ran the Croatian death camps monsters. When the Third Reich thinks you've taken brutality too far, you've earned yourself your own special circle of hell. The camp's location served its purposes perfectly, and no one was ever held accountable. Um, and that's the thing about the state. Uh, the thing about the state is they like to talk about accountability. They like to hold the slave, the citizen, accountable for every little transgression of their dictates, and they're never held accountable for their genocidal, democidal, murderous actions. Um, and that's why I'm anti-authoritarian. That's why I have another channel called Kill the State, Live Free, because the state is the most evil invention mankind could have ever thought of, if we even did. Some say that that government, the idea of government, came from the Sumerians, and the Sumerians say they got it from their gods, the Anunnaki. So, it's arguable that it's arguable that that government is even a invention of man. Um, so on June 21st, the Pope Francis and their little ninth circle friends there plan to have a child sacrifice. These people need to be, at very minimal, arrested and put into fucking Gitmo. They need to be put there and kept there for as long as they live. And I know it's a radical thing to hold leaders accountable, but it's got to be done. It's got to be done. People haven't held the leaders accountable since what? The French Revolution, where they guillotined Marie Antoinette and the king there. I think it's probably time again for these billionaires and these bank bosses and these corporate scumbags to fucking pay for their crimes against humanity. So, the only way to make them pay is to rise up and destroy